Okay, recording. Yeah. All right, good. This is up. So the first question is, do you want to benchmark the old PC at all? Or do you not care?
I don't really care.
Okay, then we're not going to do that. I do want to benchmark the current one because I want to talk about it and your performance of your current PC just to give you some insight. So we'll do that to the new setup after you get it all assembled and we get it powered up and we see that it's working.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, let's actually just start getting into the hardware, which is all mechanical at this point. And that is basically the first thing that I like to do is unplug everything from the old setup and try to get some things out of the way, like maybe a power supply and some of the cabling, and just to basically separate, you know, to get at the motherboard. That's what you're basically trying to do.
Yep.
So, you know, at this point, it's all good. It should be I think it's a modular power supply, right? So we don't technically need to unplug everything from the power supply because we're just going to leave it all in. We're just going to plug it all back in the new one. Because we checked the power for your GPU, and it's the same cable. It's just going from a 6-pin to an 8-pin.
Right, yes. And my current one just goes from an 8 to a 6.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't, it's no big deal.
All right, so power supply first?
Well, actually, I like to put in the motherboard first, but I want you to remove the power supply. That way, all those cables are out of the way, so we can get the motherboard out.
Gotcha.
So we're pulling the power supply out, but we're not going to actually put it in.
Okay. Yeah, this new case is a little larger than I had hoped, but I think it'll be fine.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, it is ATX, but it's ATX compact. So there's a capability for a full-size motherboard there, which is why I made the question, you know, did you want a full-sized case? Because it gives you more options in the future.
Yeah.
But it is true. It is larger because it's full-sized.
But I guess it gives the option for a 4-slot GPU in the future, because the smaller one only had a 3-slot.
Correct. That's correct. And there are other smaller cases that do have a 4-slot. I happen to own one myself, but the size difference is not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
Is basically, so you're basically, you kind of want to decide, in my opinion, in this day and age, it's just better to have the GPU space.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, you know, I understand your value of the small form factor. It's really a good size. There's just a lot of value to, we'll say, this is in some ways a little bit of a compromise, because it's not like Brian's. He bought a full-sized case.
Oh gosh, okay. Yeah.
Which is even bigger than what you got.
So should I leave these cables coming out of the supply, but just unplug them going into the peripherals?
That's exactly it. Unplug them all from the motherboard, unplug them all from the GPU, unplug them all from, you know, if you have a hard drive or anything like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know what everything is anyway, so just unplug everything.
Yeah,
and they're all different, so it makes it easy too. I assume you do not have a CD drive or DVD drive or anything like that anymore these days.
No, I have an external one.
That's perfect.
And I never wanted an internal one again, because the external one then works for all.
For all.
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So while you're doing the unplugging, another point that I didn't get to talk about, the full-size case, but with the compact, the advantage of it is it has proper airflow. See, the challenge with the small form factor is you can get a small form factor that'll fit like a 4-slot GPU, but it's crammed in there so tight that it barely has any space to actually move the air around effectively.
Right. Whereas this thing's gonna have a lot of space to flow.
I mean, look at those two 140 front fans that you got there. That's a ridiculous amount of airflow, bringing that air, fresh air in.
Yeah, those things are enormous.
Well, they'll be extra quiet too, because they won't run full speed. They'll run at like 1200 RPM. They'll be near silent. You won't even know that they're on.
Oh, that's great.
So that's the other advantage of the case that I recommended, is because of the size, you don't need the speed, and speed equals noise.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, so you said all these other cables I can just unplug.
Unplug. It's all motherboard, CPU, that kind of thing.
Is this all one?
There's one gigantic one that's 24 pins. There's some that look like a GPU, but those are for the CPU.
Gotcha, yeah.
Because the CPU usually has some extra power. While you're unplugging, I'm going to do a little more talking. I do notice that you've got a room for a 120 rear fan, but there's no fan there.
Right.
That's
I looked that up.
Uh-huh.
And they actually said that someone did some tests and they put in a rear fan and it improved it only by 1 degree Celsius.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said that the two
There's enough
fans, and because it's so wide open in the back, it just lets the air flow really well.
So then this is a testament to the quality of the design of this case, because it seems like that mesh in the back is actually a rather wide mesh.
Yeah, it's really wide,
which would allow for really good airflow. So the fact that you don't even need it, that's super cool.
Oh, these were these fans? I don't even know. Shoot.
Well, there's probably a few
like LED
and all the rest of that. Yeah, you're going to unplug all that stuff. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Because you're going to end up plugging in the new ones in the new case.
Right.
So we will need, I'll look up your case manual, but we will need your motherboard manual. So while you've got this thing apart, I'm going to need some info off the motherboard as far as the manufacturer and the model.
Okay. And I don't need to worry about any of the cables? The current cables?
No.
Okay. I forgot there's so many tiny little ones.
Yeah. We just need to look up the motherboard manual so we know what to plug in where.
Gotcha, yeah. Right, those are the hard drives. Oh, there it goes back.
Hi, how are you?
We can hear you, Dave. Should I take out the the old graphics card as well?
Yeah, we do want to pull that out. So go ahead and throw that in an anti-static bag,
Good question.
or you could set it fan side up.
Okay.
Or fan side down, I guess. Really, you want fans against something. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Or side up.
Right, I just lift it out, right? Or is there a?
It's just there's a catch. Towards the middle of the card.
Got it.
There you go.
Getting there. Just the hard drive's data cables.
There's a data and a power.
Yes, the data. How do we get that? There we go. Oh, right. And then this thing, whatever that is.
Is that a like speaker? One of the other.
Yeah. And then,
They don't even use that stuff anymore.
I don't even know what that one is. Okay. All right. Motherboard is completely disconnected.
Completely disconnected. All that other stuff out of the way. So we could probably. There should be. Let me think here.
Wow, this case fan is tiny compared to the new ones.
Oh yeah.
It's like this big.
Yeah. Like it's barely. It's probably an 80 millimeter for that matter. Whereas you're at 140 now, so there's going to be a huge airflow difference.
Yeah.
So, what is the motherboard brand and model? Can you read that off the board itself? Can you see it, or is the CPU in the way?
I do have the manual. I have to go. I think it's in this box. It's an Asus. I know I sent it to you in an email at one point. If you could just look up.
Oh, okay.
Probably look up computer specs or computer setup.
Computer setup. Oh, here we go. Oh, perfect. How do I... We're gonna... Give me a second to save this. There we go. Okay, all right. All right, let me see if I can look up their manual. So there should be, just rough off the top of my head, there should be somewhere around 6 screws holding that motherboard into the case.
Yeah, I think there's 4.
Oh, even that little?
Yeah, I think so.
This is why I love the web. I just got your motherboard manual.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because this is a tiny motherboard.
Yeah, ITX, they are really extra small. You're going from extra small to regular sized.
But this will be good because, like, I feel like for now it's just good to stick with this and then just put in the new case and graphics card, and then I can worry about the rest of the other, upgrading everything else later.
Sure. Yeah, this is less work for today.
Okay. And maybe I should get some compressed air just to blow everything off.
Yeah, ideally you want to do that outside. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to blow all that dust and garbage inside your house, inside your place. So if you want to take the case, like right now, take it outside and just compressed air the whole thing
Got it.
in its current state, that's probably a good idea.
Okay.
Oh, this is awesome. I do have the manual. Mm.
Alrighty.
All right, there are 4 screws. I did check the manual, and that's it. See if I can share this.
And let me see if I have the manual in here or not.
Here's a picture of it if you need to see it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I got that.
So you're basically taking those 4 screws out, and you're going to, all those back panel connectors will fit in that slot in the back. Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now you oriented it the same. So you can basically pull it straight out and put it straight down. So that's perfect, the way you've got that oriented.
Oh, shoot.
And it may need to, you may need to pull it slightly towards the front of the case and up after you get those 4 screws out.
Yeah.
If you understand my, yeah.
Should I, how do I get the little, what am I trying to say? The metal panel where all the ports fit into. But I think I have to swap that as well, right?
Yeah, we will pop, you're right. We want to pop that out. So see if we can, see if you can, it should, you just did it. Good. Pop that into place in the inside of the case, just like you popped it out.
Right.
Sometimes the motherboards, they come with those, like it's already built into the motherboard, so it doesn't need a plate anymore.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's actually kind of nice because it's just one less part. This is an old school thing. And then same thing. I assume there were standoffs in that case, like little threaded inserts that the screws will go into.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm gonna screw that back down. Oh, I see. And then a full-size motherboard
Just goes further down.
further back, right? And then I see the six screw areas.
Yep. There would be 9 actually in a full size because it'll go even further down to the bottom of the case.
Oh, I see them. Yeah, okay. Right, because it then can support all 7 expansion slots.
Right. Yeah, 6 would be my micro ATX. Now that we're looking at all this stuff.
All right, this one screw is having a little trouble.
You should be using the same screws, right?
Yep.
Are they different? Is the one different? It might have. It's possible to put the wrong screw in there from ages past.
Don't think so. It goes in. There it is. It's just hit a little tough point, but then I got past it and then.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this is a lot easier because it's oh, I see. So yeah, this has the standoffs built into it. There were other standoffs in the old one, okay?
Yeah, there you go. One of them might have come loose or something like that. You can just hand tighten it.
Yeah. These are like super safe in here. Okay.
Yeah, they're in there.
Yeah, permanently. Yeah, so the motherboard is in.
Okay. So your motherboard does have an M.2 slot. Is it currently empty? It's between the CPU and where the GPU is plugged in. I just want you to take a look at that. Is there nothing in it right now? This is what it looks like. Let me show you.
Yeah, there's nothing in the M2 slot.
There's nothing in the M2. Okay. All right. Then that's just a FYI kind of thing, just as a reference.
Yeah, I was looking into it at one point, and I think it's not really worth it for this motherboard.
Gotcha.
Because it can only take, I think, the first version of the M2.
Oh, that's old.
Yeah, so it's like it's not a real speed boost.
Yeah, I gotcha. Not at all. Basically, your SSDs are just as fast.
Right. So I think in the future, when I get a new motherboard, then maybe I'll consider the most recent.
Yeah. Well, I would wait for direct storage to really become prevalent in games and applications, because right now nobody's really very little or are using it. So because of that, the benefit of the extra speed is not really going to do much. Other than load time. If you want the sub 1 minute load time of Brian's PC. Okay. So let's start plugging some things in. And the big one that I like to just get out of the way is the power supply.
Okay.
To get that started. So go ahead and take your power supply and stick it back into the top. And we'll start feeding all those cables through. Some will, I think, I'm trying to see how your power supply. Yeah, some of those cables are going to go like through the back and then in the side.
Oh, yeah, I see.
That's kind of how they might run. Actually, it's probably not going to fit that way because it's going to fit the other way. You're actually going to want to fish those cables back out because it'll be flush to the back. The case will be on the outside and the power supply will be next.
Oh, you mean this portion it sat out on the previous case, but won't sit out on this case?
Yeah, correct. So there should be a little tab for a screw. I can see it already. That's on the back of that case, where it'll screw into the back of the case and then into the back of that power supply. Does this power supply have a plate or something screwed to it?
Yeah, should I take it off?
Yeah, take it off.
Okay.
That's for your old case, actually, that plate.
It was just a bracket so that it could reside on the outside.
Correct. Yeah, you're going to want to take that off. So that's just the power supply. And it'll screw. You can reuse those screws in the back of your new case.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And it should rest it'll go right in the top and into the back. Well, it should be fan side. Switch it around, fan side down. So it's sucking the hot air from the CPU up and out.
Side down. Okay. Like this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that was the opposite direction.
Well, you might have put it in the opposite direction. There was no way to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's probably not, because it's blowing. Wait, which direction?
Because you want the power supply to draw the hot air away from the CPU, and it's throwing it out the back.
Oh, right, because this is a flat pane up here. So
Correct.
we wanted to push the air down.
It's not pushing. It's pulling. The power supply fan pulls the air in, and it throws it out the back.
And it comes out here. Oh,
it
okay.
does a 90-degree, which is not the best of things, but that's just how it works.
Right. So if it was up like this, and we put the plate, okay, it wouldn't work.
Wouldn't have any air to. It wouldn't have any air to draw.
Yeah, we see. Okay.
You know, these are really good small points I never really thought of until you start to help other people do it, and then you're like, oh yeah, maybe I should mention that.
When you sent this case and said, oh, this was the one you advised, and then I watched a review of it, and they were saying like how much they really liked the power supply being at the top.
Oh.
And having it like access to all the power supply cables just by popping the top off.
Yeah, it's another easy. Mine is the other way, and I don't like it, honestly. I don't like power supply on the bottom. It's so much more of a pain to get to.
And then they were also saying that like this case was like one of the coolest cases out of the box, meaning the fans and everything. Just
yeah, that's why I like it so much. Was those big 140s are really they're dead silent, and the case is extra cool.
Wow. Okay.
So the biggest one is the easiest one. That goes into it'll probably go like either straight over the top or fish it out the back and then around, if that makes sense, and then through the front and then up. Well, you got to decide on a routing direction. You can either boy, I can't point. Can I point? Can I point with my mouse somehow?
Hold on. Let me look at something real quick, and then I'm gonna ask because there's a couple. Oh yeah, it's not this one. Okay. So I feel like there are these kind of rubber flap entryways.
Yes.
I assume that's for cables.
That's for cables, but usually with the big one, it might be better to go over the top. So let me see.
Over the top here?
Yeah, over the top there. So instead of through the back and back around, and it creates like a J, if there's space for it, go over the top and straight down, and then go back into the motherboard.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. And I would probably... I would see if you can do that with the other piece, CPU power cable. We'll get to that one next as well, too. There's no real good way of doing these cables. I'm just telling you.
So
some of these cables. So you shouldn't need an extra hard drive cage.
And so that's why you can go over the top and it's okay, because we're not going to put this cage in there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, because if you look at the back side of your case, there should be two. So you have two SSDs right now, right?
Correct.
So if you look on the back side of your new case, there should be two little square. Those are SSD.
There's three, which is
there's three. Well, there you go. You know, I would use two of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it keeps them away from all the front action anyway. And it gives you more room for the power supply cabling.
Right. Okay. So that's gonna go here. Okay.
That cage too is a 3.5 hard drive cage. It's a big one.
Yeah, but it has the things for the small one on it.
Yes, things for the small one, yeah.
But yeah, it's 3 is plenty.
But 3's plenty. Right.
Trying to make sure I got this cable in there right.
So it should have a like a grab, like a plastic hook that grabs, and it grabs on the one. It only fits in one direction.
Yeah.
And that grabber hook should actually grab the motherboard socket. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me see.
This is what the flashlight's for.
It's not. Yeah, I don't have it fully over it yet. Okay.
This is the most challenging power cable to deal with.
I mean, I feel like it's in, but it's not fully over the grab area.
Yeah, and it sounds weird, but unplug it and try plugging it in again, and just see if it reseats better.
Okay, it's like so close too.
And it's definitely facing the correct direction to grab, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh wait, I think I just got it. Got it.
All right. So that was the most challenging one. The next one we're looking for is the CPU power. So it should be, let's see if I can find a picture of it. You with the CPU power, you actually might want to fish through the like. Let me see if I can describe this. Instead of going over the top, go out the back and then right back in above the motherboard. Do you see that little window in the above the motherboard? Look at the back of the case. There's
like right here?
no, directly down from the power supply. There's a little window, that little window. Try taking the CPU power back in that little window, and there's probably the plug for it right next to that little window. Is that about right?
Yeah. What I'm gonna do.
It's just a 4-pin power connector, right? Just one?
I think it's an 8.
Or 8. Sorry, 8.
Yeah. Okay.
TPM. That's interesting. Apparently they got rid of that. Okay. So you got that incorrect?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. There is you have a USB, what is this? 12. Let me look at the number. USB 3. You have a USB 3 front panel connector on your motherboard. Now let me share this. Here's your motherboard. This connector right here.
Right, number 12.
So there should be something in the case that is for a USB 3, the cable that is the front panel USB ports.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it in your case manual. It says here front ports, there's a USB 3.1 Gen 2.
I see it.
That's the Type C. We don't want that. We want the USB 3.0.
Are you sure? This looks like what?
Yeah, here, I found it. Do you see what I'm sharing? There's this USB in the front. You've got two USB 3.0 ports, and it has this very specific looking connector that's going to plug into that slot on your motherboard. Do you want me to zoom in like this? It's going to look like this. It's going to have a USB 3.0 on it, I'm hoping, inside the case. This is not on your power supply. This is just another case cable.
Oh yeah. No, this is it. It says USB 3.
There's a 3 and there's a 3.1. The 3.1 is smaller. The 3 is bigger.
Yeah, the 3 is bigger and has 2 cables because it's going to 2 USB 3s.
Correct. So that you're going to want to take from wherever it's coming from, which I don't really know. You'll have to, make the best logical sense of it and route it into the motherboard, into that motherboard port that looks like this. because this is a ITX, a small setup, there's really not much to it. We're going to be done with this before you know it.
Okay, that's great.
I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay.
Are you done with that USB cable?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'll move on to something else. There should be 2 fan power cables for the 2 front fans.
Okay.
They look like, let me see if I can find it. They're a 4-pin power connector.
Yeah, I think I
They're
found
flat.
But I can see where they go on the case.
And you're trying to get them to the motherboard. So another good place up where you plugged in the CPU power. So I would route them in through that little window between the power supply and the motherboard in the backside. Here's where you're trying to plug them into. This CHA fan 1 and CHA fan 2. So they're literally right next to that CPU power connector that you plugged in.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay.
And they should the CPU fan should be plugged in below it already.
Okay, hold on. Not that one. This one is one.
And you might have unplugged the CPU fan accidentally when you took your motherboard out.
No, that one's still plugged in.
Oh, it is still plugged in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I got one. Trying to figure out where the second one is. Under that. Oh. All right, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Can you show me? Let me stop presenting. Yeah, bring it up to, is it possible to bring it to the camera? It should be a 4-pin flat.
Oh, well, this one's a 4-pin flat.
If you only found one, is there this happened to Brian too. Look at the back. There looks like there's a what's it called? A splitter. Is there two plugged into the back of the splitter? And there's a splitter that is only one power. How do I describe this? I need a pointer. How do I point to this? Hold on.
Yeah.
Here, I found it. So here's the back side of your case. Yeah, the back side of your case, right? Oh, I need to share this.
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
I went through this with Brian already. There is a splitter, and you're holding the power from the splitter, so you have a choice. Let me show you your choice. So you can, right now, I bet those two front fans are on this splitter right here. See what I'm highlighting?
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry. So this is a multi-power fan setup.
So that's for the fan power?
And there's probably there's two of them that have got to be plugged into it already. And then there's one out, and that you're probably holding the out. So you can leave all your fans under one header and just be done with it. Just plug the one into the motherboard. Or you can ignore the splitter and take the two fans out of that splitter and see if their power cables stretch far enough to go to the motherboard directly. Do you see what I'm saying?
Kind of. Hold on.
I don't know if they're long enough, in which case you might just have to use the splitter, in which case you're just going to have to plug it in as one fan. They might have used really short power cables directly to that splitter. You see what I'm saying?
I think these. So I think these are the two braided cables that go to the fans. And they are the 4-pin thing.
You've got two of them in your hands.
Yeah, these two cables lead directly to the front fans.
They're not plugged into that splitter in the back?
No. Something
else is? What is?
Okay, so there's something on the splitter. There's a PWM RPM.
PWM RPM.
Maybe I should look at my case manual.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Let me see if I can find a better page. Front radiators. So there's only those two front fans. Those are the only fans in the entire case.
Right.
And you're saying you're holding on. I mean, there's space for a lot more fans, but they don't actually have them.
Oh, I remember when I read a review of this, this guy said the one annoying thing was that the fans were not hooked up to begin with, which he thought was silly.
So they are loose. Instead of plugged into the strip. I found the strip. It's on page. What page is this? How do I know? Page 18 or 19. Let me share this. This is the page. So you're saying those two front fans are loose and you found the connectors for them?
Right.
There should still be a... Oh, I see what it is. It's a SATA power. Wait, what? Connect to CPU fan.
So this looks like I should connect the 4-pin front fans to this hub thing in slots fan 2 and fan 3.
Yeah, but you don't really need to use the hub thing because you're not really going to install. People put all these fans in these cases, but the more fans, the more problems it creates because it creates more turbulence. So I've never been a fan I've never been a fan of over fanning a case. So the reality is that you don't really need to use this strip at all. And my opinion is that I would take those two front fan cables and I would plug them directly into CHA fan 1 and CHA fan 2 on the motherboard. And I would route them through the back and along with that CPU power, the cable that you'd routed. And I would ignore that strip altogether.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
So, and then the question is going to be, one can reach, the other can't.
Oh, it can't go that far?
Yeah.
Then we got to use the strip, or we have to wait until we can buy. I mean, technically, you can get away with gaming tonight on only one fan. That's how much airflow those things will make.
Yeah.
So you can buy an extension, or the option is just use the strip and screw it and plug the strip in, because the strip probably comes with an extra long. Or, well, it gets powered. Wait a minute. There's probably one power for the strip, and then there's an auxiliary power that goes to the power supply.
Okay, so I think I understand. So I could plug the fans into the strip. Here's the plug from the strip that would go into the motherboard.
That would go into the motherboard on one of those CHA fan locations.
Right. So that I understand. Then there's a power.
So the strip that
connects to a SATA power on the power supply.
Yes.
I get it. Okay.
Yes. It basically, it's only used if you're going to use more than 4 fans. Because that one power cable that you would normally plug in if you were using the strip can only really power 4 fans on the strip. And you need that SATA power cable to get the other 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
I see.
But you don't really care because you're not going to install all those fans.
Right.
So you have 2 options. Option A is use the strip, plug in the strip's fan power into CHA1. And option B is don't use the strip and plug the fans directly into CHA1 and CHA2, and you may need to purchase a fan extension for the one cable.
Right. I think I'm just gonna use the strip.
Okay.
But I'm looking here and I'm trying to figure out which ones. Does it matter which CHA1 or 2? Does it matter which one I use?
No, it doesn't. But I would just use one just to make it easier on you whenever you go into your motherboard and or into software and you're like,
which one's one? Do you know?
Oh yeah, one's probably the top one. It is. It's the one closest to the CPU power. You see what I'm pointing to? This is.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I see.
So there should be a space and then the CPU fan below it.
Right.
And you might need to route that cable from wherever it came from through the backside, through that little window between the power supply and the.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right. In which case, the guy is right for their comment online. It is silly. Those things should have been plugged into like fan 2 and 3 of the hub. And I understand why. They have a special. God bless this hub. They want you to plug the CPU fan into the hub into fan port 1, and then they have another cable that goes all the way back to the motherboard. It would be the worst thing to do. You'd be routing this extra long distance. I do not like this hub. I mean, it logically makes sense to have all the fans there, but it's creating an extra. It's making the CPU fan like extra long with extra cabling. We're gonna hybrid use the hub is basically what I'm getting at. So we're just gonna use it for those front 2 fans, and that's it.
Right. Exactly.
And you don't need to bother with that SATA power connector because 2 fans is more than small enough to be supported by the hub power.
Okay. This is one of them. This is the other one.
So because of this hub business, there's going to either be there might be an extra cable that is just in the back that you'll just have to zip tie to the back somewhere that you're not going to use.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I've decided that this this case fan business and RGB business is the most complicated, easiest thing to do. Like once you understand it, it's easy. But until you understand exactly what you're looking at, it's more
really complicated.
more complicated than it needs to be.
And it sounded like my motherboard doesn't support it.
Your motherboard only supports 3 fans, 2 for the case and 1 for the CPU.
No, I meant RGB.
Oh yeah, your motherboard's too old. It doesn't support RGB.
Right, right.
Your motherboard's like, what the hell's that? Isn't that a monitor thing? Get that crap.
Exactly. Okay, got the fans in the hub.
You got the fans in the hub, and you got the hub power into CHA1.
And the hub power, hold on.
I think you already did that in the beginning, right?
Oh yeah, I did.
Into CHA fan 1 of the motherboard.
Right.
So
yes.
we're done with fans at this point. Any more fan cabling or any more fan power will just be zip tied somewhere.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Let's do the hard one.
Okay.
The hard one are all those little front panel.
Oh yeah, right.
Switches.
Like single pins, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, there's so here's where it is on your motherboard. Take a look at this first. Here's that big power connector that you just plugged in, and
Yeah.
right down from it is all of these little itty bitties.
Yeah. Let me just look at it real quick.
Yeah.
Got it. I see it.
So there's a front speaker. Let me look at the case and see what the case has. It might not even have a front speaker. What does the case have?
This is the 4-pin at the top.
Are you looking at the motherboard?
Yeah, I'm looking at the motherboard.
Okay, so there's this 4-pin speaker that you're not going to use.
It's already plugged in. It was on the. I left it in because it's like not even connected to anything.
Is there something dangling there?
Yeah, it's just like a little speaker that's just like off.
So that is a beep speaker. That's all it does is beep, just to let you know.
Got it. Okay.
And it just beeps codes if there's a problem with your motherboard. That's all that speaker does. It just yells. It just screeches. That's all it ever does. I hate those damn things. They got rid of them. At any rate, the rest of it is all in this front panel. And I need to go to a different page on this manual to figure out what the hell that front panel is. And let me see if I can find a different page. Page 1-17. Where is that? Okay, there's that speaker, which we will eventually never use ever again, and never speak of ever again. Where is the front panel? 1-17. 8. Well, it's way down here. Can't be this far. Here it is. This is it. This is what you need to know. So there should be a whole bunch of little connectors on the case from the case.
I think it's these.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't quite see it from here, but I think that that's probably it.
It's a 2 and then 2 1s.
It's a 2 and 2 1s. Got it. So they're what is it? Do they have labels or names on them, like HDD or Power?
Oh yeah, Power SW.
That's power switch. So that's the button.
Okay, that's the button. Then there's a Power LED minus and a Power LED plus.
There's the Power LED. That's the light.
Well, Power LED minus and plus.
Yeah. So there's a Power LED minus and plus as separate on they're at the very, how do I describe this?
And then I also have the reset switch.
And you have the reset switch. And there's no hard drive LED? Or did they might have gotten rid of that?
I don't think so.
I think they got rid of that because of SATA doesn't care, or SSDs don't care.
Yeah.
They probably got rid of that. So this is even easier. There's just the power button, the power LED, and the reset switch. Just 3. Some of them might be separate, but you're really plugging in 3 different things. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
All right, we're gonna do the power button first.
Okay.
I think it was Power SW is what they called it.
Yeah, power switch.
Okay, so grab that. Is that a 2 or is that 2 1s?
It's a 2.
It's a 2. All right. I'm fairly certain that these don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter which ones you plug it into. You just have to plug it into the right 2 pins. So if I'm looking at your motherboard, I'm going to try to zoom in on this a little bit more. There's that speaker in the back, right?
Yep.
So the speaker lines up with these 4 pins. It's like parallel to it.
Correct. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. These 2 at the top, closest to the CPU, closest to the speaker, are the power switch, the Power SW. So there should be this empty spot and this 1 solo pin.
Yep.
Right? You're not going to connect anything to that at the very top.
Yep.
You're going to connect these 2 right here together with Power SW.
Okay, so when I look at that thing, there's ground points to the top one of those 4, and then power points to the second one, and those are the 2 we want.
Yeah, but it's a dumb switch. It doesn't know any better. So you can plug it in like this, or you could turn it around and plug it in like this. It doesn't matter.
Okay, and right under that is going to be Power LED minus and Power LED plus.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm just gonna plug them because they're all like nicely in a row, and I'm just gonna plug.
Yeah, plug those 4 in a row in. It's going to be the 2, and then it's going to be the minus and the plus Power LED.
Yeah. I'm like tip this on its side.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. Just try not to smash too many cables, but close is good enough. This is, of course, the trickiest part.
Yeah, they're so tiny.
Yeah, that's why it's tricky. This is when you're like, hey, kid, come over here and help me with this.
Small fingers. Right?
I could use some small fingers. Yes. Hey, you did it right. Good job. I would love it for them to one day standardize this as a single connector, because that's what they should do.
Yeah.
But they never have. One day we can dream. You know, on the upside, it used to be that these things were all single pins like this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a freaking nightmare.
I think I got him.
If you want to be technical about it, the two for the power SW, the power switch, probably has a little notch on it, and the notch would go in the further pin south. So, boy, oh boy, that's, how do I describe it? It'd be the closest to the power LED minus. But again, it's a switch, so it really technically shouldn't matter.
Yeah, honestly, I think it only goes in one way.
Well, that one you could probably flip around.
Yeah, but you'd have to then twist the wires. I'm keeping all the wires aligned.
Aligned? That's fine.
Okay, I got it. And
you got those 4 in?
Yeah.
All right, so the last one that you have is 2 singles reset, a plus and a minus, correct?
Yeah, I found that one.
So that one is directly across from the power switch that you just plugged in. The plus is the plus is there's this blank and the not contacted single pin at the top, right? And you want these two. You want the plus at the top and the minus at the bottom. That's the technical way of doing it.
Let me take a look.
So it'll be single empty pin at the top, plus, minus, empty pin, empty pin. If you're looking straight down the stack.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's an arrow on one of them.
That's the plus. Should be the plus.
And the plus is at the top, minus at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
It shouldn't matter, but that's the technical way that they want you to wire it. Because it's just a switch. Switches are they just close an electrical connection. They're not smart.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
You just need to have it in the right 2 pins. That's all.
Yep.
Okay, so final check. Looking at the whole thing, you should have an empty space and a blank unconnected pin.
Got it.
You should have the next 4 all plugged in.
Correct.
You should have the 2 on the left plugged in and the 2 on the right unplugged, empty.
Exactly.
You probably did it right.
Yep.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, those small ones are tough.
Okay. We're almost done. So your case, just to let you know, when you get a new motherboard, where's your case? When you get a new motherboard, we could plug in that front HD audio. Would you actually use that?
This, the top?
The front of the case has two small 1/8 inch jacks in the very bottom.
I'll use that.
You will use that?
Yeah.
Then we should plug that in.
Yeah.
So the other thing that your front of the case has is a USB-C port.
I doubt mine has support.
Your motherboard can't support that.
Yeah.
So a new motherboard will, but in the interim, it's just not going to work.
Right. Yep. Yep.
So let's plug in that HD audio. So it should be a single big, ugly looking square connector that looks like this. You're trying to find this from the case itself. It's a it looks like it's, what is that, 6, 8? Is that 8? No, that's a 10 pin. It looks like it's 10 pins, but there's this empty spot.
Oh, yep, found it.
It's just a square, ugly looking square thing that it has no markings on it whatsoever, other than the notch, the arrow.
No, this one's actually labeled HD audio.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah.
So there should be a little arrow for the 1 pin, the first pin.
Yes.
On that cable.
Yep.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
We want to plug that thing. If we go to your motherboard next, hold on, let me find it. I think it's this thing here. 17 in the very back. It's in the very back, close to the PCI extension slot, close to the audio in the back port. I think this is it. Let me check 17. Front panel connector. Yeah, this has got to be it. Audio connector. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so how do I, what page is that? Page 1, this 1-17 again. Good God. Give me a second. There it is. Okay, this is it.
I think it can only plug in one way.
It probably can because of the empty space with the empty pin.
Yeah.
But just to make sure, that arrow should fit with this pin 1, which should be on the very back bottom
right
left of the motherboard. This thing, thank God they standardized this thing. This was a pain.
Doesn't seem like it wants to fully go on.
You matched up the empty pin with the empty pin space?
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
doesn't seem like it wants to
Well,
go.
it slides on real easy at first, but then it doesn't seem like it's going all the way down.
Pull it out and reseat it again.
Yeah, I did.
It might just be tough. Like tougher than you think it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ouch.
If it's too tough, then we might not have had those pins lined up. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
The empty pin.
Yeah, the empty one's definitely
lined up.
lined up.
Then it's just tougher than you think, and you just have to push it.
Yeah.
This is old school, tough as nails hardware. The newer stuff doesn't do it that way.
Okay. All right, I think I got it. Yep.
Okay. So let me go back to the beginning and see where we're at. I think we're down to the hard drives or the SSDs and the GPU. We'll do the GPU last, by the way, after everything else is in there.
What's this? No.
So your motherboard supports like USB 2 front panel ports, but you don't have them, so that's not any good. And it's got some other oddball odds and ends as well too, but your case doesn't support it because technology changes. So the only thing that's left at this point I see is the SATA ports for the 2 SSDs. Oh, bugger. That port, that would have been better if we would have remembered how you had it plugged in. Son of a gun.
For what?
Well, one of those SSDs is your Windows boot, right?
Oh, I remember.
Oh, you remember which one goes where?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Otherwise, we'd have to boot it up and see if it works, and if it doesn't, then switch them.
God, yeah.
I assume you had them plugged into SATA 1 and SATA 2.
Yeah.
That was that would be between the USB 3 and the front panel connectors that we had plugged in.
Right. Sorry, I'm taking out the main power real quick.
The big one?
Yeah, I want to like shift some other cables out of the way. And
yeah, if you want to reroute anything now that you're getting a better feel for things.
I'm gonna try something real quick. Well,
Sure.
A second.
Yeah, no, do what you want to do. And there's two different ways. One is going in and out and looping it, and the other one is straight up and down.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. It also helps keep some of the other little cables like out of the way. That way the big fan can just go over everything.
Sure.
Probably doesn't really matter, but okay, there we go. Okay, we're back.
I'm back to the regular scheduled program.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got rid of that. Okay. We're down to the SSDs.
Okay.
So they will get mounted physically
Right.
in that back side of the case where I showed you before. Let me see if I can find a page of it. There we go. They will get mounted physically, like in these back two slots behind the motherboard. And you have to remember which one gets plugged into which one in the front of the motherboard.
Right. Okay.
And this is exactly what you can use those little push-through doors for, the rubber push-through to run those SATA cables through.
Okay. So I think I have to unscrew the hard drives from the old one, right?
They're probably screwed in, correct. With the new one, let me check that. The new one, they might not be screwed in. They might be a press fit. How do I find this?
How did I take out this whole cage?
It probably is a cage, and then you can access it from the bottom.
Oh no, they're screwed from the side. That's how it works. Okay. I didn't take out the cage.
Oh, this is really interesting.
Okay. Okay, so we're saying on the new one.
So on the new one, it has this like bracket that it screws into first. That has a single screw that goes into the back of the case. See this bracket?
Right, and the bracket is already mounted on the case.
Oh, good. That makes it easy. So you could probably take the thumb screw and remove the bracket for one of them. So you can screw the bottom of the SSD to the bracket.
Okay.
You're pulling the bracket off the case first, and you're screwing the SSD into the bracket itself.
Yeah.
So each SSD gets its own bracket.
Okay, and then I gotta take off these little things.
Did it have screws in it?
It had like a little rubber mounting thing.
Oh, well, can we use those rubber mounting things? Because that's even easier. Instead of screwing them into the bracket, is there a way? Does your case have the opposite style, like something to go into the SSD that would fit into that rubber mount?
The only thing that does is that the cage at the very top, not the side.
No. What I'm talking about is like hardware.
No, I know what you mean. I'm saying that this case does not have those sliding nub area.
See, I thought there was a rubber thing mounted into the bracket. Let me go to the bracket real quick.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm saying like the only place in this case that has those shapes is this optional hard drive.
That optional hard drive case
that goes there. Yeah.
So what's on the bracket right now? There's a thumb screw, and then what's in the 4 locations?
This thing? It's like a little. It's just for a little screw.
Oh, it just has a hole.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then there's nothing for it. You just need to put screws through that bracket to screw into the SSD.
Yeah.
And then you can thumb screw it back on. Mine has these like floaty rubber things.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Where you literally just press it in and then you're done. There's nothing more to it. Because the SSD is so light,
right.
They don't bother using screws at all.
It's so simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so simple. I actually kind of like that. But I guess at the end of the day, it's all moot because we're going to M.2 for everything.
Right, right.
Oh, I'm glad you remember what cable goes into which SSD.
Yeah, me too. Otherwise, pain in the butt.
Well, it'd just be one more extra step if you do it wrong. 50-50 chance, one more extra step.
Right, right. Hold on.
I think I'm going to stand up for a moment.
Oh, is that right?
What's the question?
Okay, yep, I got it right.
Same thing for the second one. You know, next time we get together, you and Brian are going to have matching cases, except yours is black and smaller, and his is white and massive. And full of color.
I was right because you got the RGB working on that.
Yeah, he did. He didn't just get RGB. He got like all RGB.
Oh my gosh.
It looks like a Las Vegas light show.
That's funny.
I really got to respect the choice. It's just fun.
I do not miss mechanical hard drives.
At all, huh?
Nope.
I still use them for my media. So I've got a goal of digitizing all my media.
Yeah, yeah.
And when it comes to that, I don't have, and you don't even need the speed of solid state, but you definitely need the space. So, you know, there are certain things that it's still worthwhile. But yeah, I understand your point. I don't miss CD-ROMs.
Oh my god. No.
And all this media disc stuff lying around all over the place.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you, I've been getting frustrated with streaming to the point where I've started buying Blu-ray discs from eBay because I'm looking at it going, you know what? I'd rather just have the things that I love and digitize them all into the size and format that I'm interested in having, and just make it available in my own personalized streaming service, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah. Okay. There's that.
And then it's a data cable to the correct SATA plug on the motherboard, probably routed through the bottom of the two, or maybe the top one. Your motherboard's small.
Yeah. Okay. That should go. Yep. I'm just doing this one exactly how I remember it on the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which like one end
They're the same.
Bi-directional or whatever.
Bi-directional, yeah. They're notched, so you have to plug it in correctly.
Right.
but it doesn't matter what end the cable goes into what device or motherboard.
Gotcha.
That's even better. Somebody was thinking there.
What?
It's just solution is error proofed. You know what I mean? You can't do it wrong.
Right. Yeah, it's like finally USB-C.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other way of error proofing. No matter which way you plug it in, it still works.
What? Should I do that?
And then once you finish the data cables, you'll have power from the power supply to each of those SSDs.
Right. All right, then the graphics card's gonna go here.
Yeah, that's super easy. But we want all this other shit out of the way first.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, I think I probably should have left the other one cable thing as it was.
The motherboard power cable?
No, I was just moving. I'm not even sure what it is. Oh, it's the USB-C. Oh, not USB-C, the USB 3.
USB 3, yeah.
Because I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want it to interfere with the graphics card.
Remember, the graphics card is going to be underneath it. It's going to be in that slot and lower.
Right. Yep. But it's going to take up like the whole length of the space.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Okay, So
your new graphics card is enormous.
Right, it's a monster. Okay, so here's the SATA power.
You probably had just one cable coming from the power supply with multiple connectors coming off of it.
Right, exactly.
And you just need to route it into the back and into those two.
Okay, so does it matter which two I plug it into? It was plugged into the two end ones, but does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Just use whatever's convenient for you.
Okay.
And of course, it's keyed. Like there's a notch, just like the data cable. It only fits in one direction.
Right.
So that's the trickiest. That's the only tricky part. I wonder if they have a picture of that.
Right, so that has to go there. Yep. Yes. Has to go like that.
Oh, holy moly. This case supports 180 millimeter fans? I didn't even know they made them that big.
Okay.
All right, so they're all plugged in?
Yeah, so then it sounds like graphics card.
And then we're ready.
Just cable tying and organizing, and then that's it?
Yeah, so I'm going to let you do cable tying and organizing because...
Yeah, that's PC.
Is there any more power cables other than the two to the graphics card? Is there any more loose power cables that you have that we can get rid of from your modular setup?
Not coming out of the power supply, no.
All right, so
I didn't have anything extra plugged in.
you were already bare bonesing it.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Okay, we're down to the GPU. So
and there's like a special support bracket.
Yeah, Brian went through this whole thing too. So let me explain that. And get you to see what that looks like before we go grabbing the graphics card. So the graphics card is going to fit in the same way as you had previously, but it's also going to have this extra support bracket. So this bracket, I've got it pictured here, is basically two screws into the bracket into the case, like in the back.
Oh.
This is the back side of the case. There will be two screws holding the bracket to the back side of the case, and this one screw with a rubber nub that fits in the slot that actually holds the GPU up.
Gotcha. Okay. Let me just first try to get the
GPU in.
power cables.
Oh, routed? Routed, roughly?
Yeah, just...
I probably would route them through one of these windows. More than likely, it'll be the bottom one.
Oh, right, because where...
because the GPU is big, remember? It's going to be big, but the power cables are going to want to go exactly where the slot is. You see what I mean? They're going to want to go towards the slot, towards the front two fans. That's where they'll end up getting plugged in.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, okay. Let's do that. Let me get the.
These GPUs are so big, they need a mechanical support.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So here's the support.
You found that support bracket?
Yeah.
So it should have 2 screws that will mount it to the case. 2 thumb screws. And then 1 thumb screw with a rubber insert that will hold on to the GPU.
And so are the thumb screws over here? Yeah. I'm just trying to see like where the. Oh, here they are.
They're probably separate with like the pile of hardware.
Yeah. Okay. So this says 2 of the thumb screws.
I'm on page 33 of the case manual.
Right, yeah.
If you want to see what this looks like.
Install CPU support. So here's the slidable one. And then the other 2.
The other 2 hold it into the case itself.
And they go in not the side.
There should be a slot in the case.
Yeah, I see a little slot.
That this thing is going to slide up and down depending
on it's a big slot.
It's a big slot, yeah. Because they don't know how big your GPU is.
Okay, and I think I got it.
I mean, you can loosely have it in place, but let it rest at the very bottom of the slot, if that makes sense, so that there's the most space.
Gotcha.
For you to put your GPU in.
Got it. Okay, I got it.
I think we're ready to put the GPU in. So the GPU is a little more sensitive than anything. Why don't we ground yourself just to be sure? So you're going to want to plug in the power cable to the power supply to ground yourself. Right now it's ungrounded because there's no cable plugged in.
Got it. Okay.
Once you plug it in, then it'll be grounded if it's switched on. Or oh no. It doesn't need to be switched on. It just needs to be plugged in.
Just plugged in. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
And I forget what's on and off. Is minus off?
I think circle is disconnected and line is connected. You're talking about the back of the power supply, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So you would want that power cable plugged into the power supply, and you want the power cable plugged into the outlet, plugged into the wall.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I can see the okay, good. The motherboard LED was on, and now it's off because I just flicked to the.
You just turned it off. Okay, so it's fine being turned off. You just had to have it plugged in to have that ground established.
Gotcha.
So now that you're grounded, then go ahead. Now handle the GPU.
Thing is enormous.
Yeah, it's heavy. That's why there's a bracket to hold it up. This GPU is a computer all to itself, if you really understand.
Okay, so
put it fan down so that you can turn your case. I think it's easier if you turn the case over. Like that way you can slot it straight down.
I need to take out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take out the back two, maybe 3 brackets. How many? How many does the GPU have?
2.
Okay. Then you got to take out the 2. I usually like eyeball it because sometimes it's not clear which 2 you should take out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, I think it's in.
It should snap into place if it went into the card slot correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a little snap.
And if it snapped into place, then screw the top of the GPU. Those brackets you just removed, get the thumb screws back from those brackets and thumb screw them into the GPU so that the GPU is mechanically held in place.
Right.
And then we'll mess around with that floaty bracket thing.
Wow, I see that. Yeah, why that floaty bracket's necessary.
Yeah, this thing's big. Remember, this GPU is 250 watts of power on its own.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's more than your CPU and all your other devices.
Okay. And then I assume we're just gonna. Oh, I know this.
It should have power cables.
So this support bracket I guess that little bumper thing
will go against the flat, like the housing, the plastic housing of the GPU. So you don't want to get it into the fan.
Yeah.
You want it in a good place where it touches up against the GPU housing.
Right.
And this is why they're thumb screws, because you're going to tighten it all down when you get it at the right place.
Okay. Okay.
You might need to stand it up in order to be able to get this thing in the right place.
Okay.
And you might need to do the back two screws first.
Right.
Tighten them a little bit and then move the bumper wherever. You'll have to play with it, in other words.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I love this part. He was like, there's only one good place for this darn thing. I'm like, well, then that's where you're going to put it. Oh, I'm going to get some more water. I'll be right back. You're almost done, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you got it.
You got it, and it's secure enough so that when it vibrates, it's not going to move or go anywhere. It's going to stay where it's at against the GPU housing. Give it a good wiggle and see is basically what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty good.
Okay. You can give it a quarter turn or a little bit on the back two screws at least, so that it doesn't move up or down.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Power cables, did you power in the GPU?
Yeah, yep, I just finished with that.
So then we're ready to test it?
I believe so.
All right, we're ready to test it. Let's test it. This is the best part.
Okay. All right, so let me gonna plug in all this stuff.
Plug in, monitor, keyboard, mouse, probably has a little USB dongle or something.
Yeah. That one doesn't matter whether it goes into USB 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, that one doesn't matter at all. Quite frankly, I usually use a USB 2 port in the back just because it frees up another USB 3.
Gotcha, yeah.
I don't know controller if you use a controller, if that's got a separate dongle or headset, speakers, or do you use the HDMI cable or DisplayPort cable?
Yeah, I think I use it. Oh yeah, here. I use the DisplayPort. Okay. And let's get. Okay. Oh, it's not. I turn the power switch.
Here's the moment of truth.
And beeped.
That's a good start. Is it at BIOS? Is it booting?
It appears to be. Let's see.
As long as you see anything, that's a huge plus.
Oh yeah, it already is showing the Windows screen. The graphics are terrible, but my guess is we just have to sell drivers.
That's just drivers. This is a win. Adam, we just did it.
Yes.
This is a huge win. If you're at Windows already, this is easy. This is just drivers.
Okay, let me check something real quick. Just want to make sure. Good, 16 gigabytes of RAM, because one of the RAMs was like somehow accidentally came loose or something, and I pushed it back in.
You have 16 gigabytes of RAM?
Yeah, I bought another 8.
Oh, good.
Because it was like $25.
Wait, hold on one second. Are they two separate 8s? Or are they the same, like a matched pair?
They are two separate 8s, but they're the exact same brand, the exact same everything.
Oh, it might work. Is it operating in dual channel mode? You'd have to check under the BIOS. We'll check that later.
I don't think so. Would that be better than 16 gigs? Would it be better to have 8 dual channel?
So let me explain something about RAM real quick. So usually they're matched together as a pair, and it's synchronized in all the timings. And by doing that, it can operate at a higher frequency, a higher clock speed than the default. So if you just added a second one, we'd have to look at your BIOS. But in BIOS, it would show whether it's running at like the dual channel clock speed or the default clock speed. And I don't remember what the default is, but it might be a difference of like the dual channel might be 1,600 hertz, and the default might be like 600, or 8, or it'd be significantly different. Yeah, whatever it is, it'd be significantly different. Is my only point.
Right.
So we'll check that later. We don't need to mess with that now. The most important thing right at this moment would be. I wonder if Windows tells me. I'm going to go to Windows System Information, see if it tells me. Can you go to AMD's website and download the drivers? Did I send you a link to that?
I don't remember. Okay, look.
Where's AMD's website has a products, graphics, Radeon, desktop. Where's their drivers? Come on, AMD, where are your drivers? Here we go.
Sorry, are you sending it? Is that what you're doing, or?
I'm trying to find where their normal path is for the drivers. Power desktop. Oh, it's got to be this. Well, I'll tell you, AMD, this is where they should make this easier. This should be right at the top of the website. Click and done. In some respects, I'm like, why is this not as easy as it should be?
Yeah, right.
I don't want an account. I want my drivers. Well, I found this really easy before.
The fans aren't running.
That's correct. So the CPU fan should be running. Is that running?
Yeah, that one's running.
The rest of them should be off unless there's a load. So we'll have to go into, and once we get the drivers going, then we'll go into a game and see everything will. See, this thing is silent, and then even when it's gaming, it'll still be silent. That's the cool part.
Yeah, it's really quiet.
This can't possibly be the thing.
I see AMD Radeon RX 1600 previous drivers.
Is this? Oh gosh! Stop that! Stop that! Stop that!
Looks like the last release was March 20th.
Maybe you found it faster than I did. I only found a single driver release of 24.4.1, but I have no idea whether that's the most recent or not.
Oh, okay, no, because I'm in the, so that probably is, because I'm in the previous drivers, and the last one was 24.3.1.
Oh, all right.
On March 20th.
Like somehow I found my way into just this one driver number.
And somehow I found my way into previous drivers, but not the latest driver.
Can you get stuff from your text, or should I send it as an email?
Email's probably, yeah, email's better on this computer.
There. Like literally, I have a single release note website. This is not the normal way to do this, which I don't know why I found my way here. But if you click on that link and then scroll about halfway down, there's a AMD software Adrenaline Edition 2441 driver.
For Windows 10. Yep, got it.
Windows 10 and 64-bit. Yeah. That's the one.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Okay, downloading.
I know, that's the best part about Christmas class is that you can choose, it's choose your own adventure.
Yeah, that's the official driver, all right. Huh. Whatever.
Yeah.
Although it kind of explains a lot, though, you know, there's these subtle things that it's like, you know, AMD, you need to really get your act together.
I never saw you.
Yeah, it could be simple.
It is important to be simple.
I raised you about wonderful, like, I'm telling you, he's absolutely 100%.
Okay, let's install.
Oh, man. 100% advance. 100% advance. Yes. Yes, but I will always say what I'm very, very interested is that ever since Drexel was doing that, he's really changed in for the better because he used to be like he didn't care about any of his students, especially not the old. But I think that he,
All right, installing.
because I'm not even joking because Rosie and like, oh, actually,
Yeah, whenever I would zoom in Helldivers, with like it would, like, the reticle and everything was like big and blocky and pixelated.
What do you mean by zoom in?
So like let's say I called in the whatever the sniper rifle was as my support weapon, and I would zoom in. You can choose the zoom, whatever is 100, 200, 300, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I would zoom in, and then normally you have like a very crisp reticle.
Yeah.
It was like going back to like Super Nintendo days of like this blocky.
Really?
Reticle. Yeah, it was really weird.
Okay, that's weird. I don't know what that is. It's just weird.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that there were certain times also, like when it was really dusty out,
oh my God.
I couldn't see anything. And I have a feeling it may have actually been the graphics partially like unable to render stuff until it got up really close.
Because your GPU wasn't able to support.
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that was part of my problem, is that.
So all this should get corrected is pretty much.
I hope so. I mean, I think, but.
Well.
Yes. So thank you, Daniel.
I mean, that GPU was kind of like an interim stopgap, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is really all it was.
Right.
So You know, this is the real deal now.
Right.
So we ought to see a significant difference in the quality, the performance, what your visuals are like, everything.
Should I just do this quick setup?
I have no idea. I don't usually use AMD's stuff.
I'm just gonna go for a quick setup then. Oh, let's just go with the default. That's fine. Okay, installed. Driver is up to date. Is there anything I need to do in here in particular, or not at the moment?
Not really. I mean, they have. You don't need to mess with any of the. You don't need to mess with any of the overclocking or tuning or blah blah blah. And you don't have a more modern setup to use some of the other feature sets. So it's like not really.
Right.
The default's pretty much just going to be fine. You just want the GPU to be running like a real graphics card.
Right. Right.
And the latest drivers ought to take care of that.
Okay, and then that's right. We want to see if the fans will go on.
Right. So launch
Launch a game.
launch game like Helldivers or something,
Right.
and let's stress test it. You could. Did you turn on the frames per second in Steam? Like that's another.
Oh no, I don't know how to do that. Or I haven't done it before.
It's under Steam settings. You can right click on Steam and go to settings. And then where is the darn thing? In game. It's under in game in Steam settings.
Okay, so game options. Wait, you said this is in game. I could turn on the.
In the Steam settings. It might be under Shift Tab. I don't know if you can get to it from inside the game itself, or if you have to go back to Steam.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You might have to go back to Steam. You might have to Alt Tab.
Settings in game. Oh no, I think I got it. Hold on.
There's an in-game FPS counter.
FPS counter. Okay.
And you can make it top left instead of off.
I mean, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but I think I watched French TV. That's what I mean, because
Got to just close out of it and it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, just close out of it. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I see it. 60 frames per second.
Okay. I don't know what your quality settings were. Maybe you can
Graphic.
That.
Oh, I had depth of field off.
I don't like depth of field. That's that fisheye. It makes everything blurry around.
Oh yeah, I don't want that.
I don't like that thing.
Is there a way that like the graphics card can auto set stuff?
I don't think that it does. It's not like that. AMD's not like that. They give you metrics and all this other stuff so you can tune it.
Okay, so texture low. So try to bump it up to high.
Bump that up to high.
Object detail was medium.
Let me jump in to see what I've got. I probably sent you a YouTube video on your graphics card. You know, usually I try to look up my own graphics card or something similar.
Gotcha.
And pick something, but you're probably going with like high on most things. I'm jumping into the game right now too.
Just to see what yours are.
All right, so under display.
Okay, hold on a sec.
Sure.
Got it. Display.
Were you at 1080 resolution or are you at 4K?
1080.
1080. All right, render scale.
Ultra quality.
Ultra, okay. V-Link, okay, that's fine. Then you can accept that if you changed anything. Otherwise, you can go to the graphics tab.
Okay.
Motion blur, set that down to either 0 or 10 or 20, something small.
Right now it's 20.
All right. Depth of field's off. Bloom, if you like bloom, that's not that big a deal. It's a personal preference. Texture quality you had at high.
No, current. It was low. I'll put it to high.
Yeah, bump it to medium or high.
Okay.
Object quality detail, maybe medium. Render distance,
High.
CPU. Well, this is CPU. Medium to high, somewhere in there. Shadow quality, you could probably get to high.
Okay.
Particles.
It's currently on high.
Okay. Reflection.
High.
Space.
Low.
You could make that high. Ambient occlusion, I like that. That's an on thing. Screen space global illumination, you might be able to get away with that. Should try turning that on.
It's currently on.
Vegetation and rubble density,
Currently
high.
Terrain is high.
Terrain high. Volumetric fog.
It's medium.
Okay, that's fine. Clouds.
Was medium.
That's fine. Lighting.
Was currently medium.
Okay. Anti-aliasing.
Odd.
And that's it. Accept or save. See how this is. What's the frames per second now?
Yeah, how do I accept this?
It's probably I don't know. It should say something in the lower right.
Oh, there is tab apply. Okay.
What's your frames at now?
58, 60.
Yeah, so that's playable. This is at least playable for tonight, is kind of the point.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can fine tune it later.
Here, I just want to see if these things work.
This is huge. At least everything's working and it's, you know, moving in the right direction.
Right. Yes. I just want to see if I can make sure I can hear audio.
Oh, you're setting up your audio setup, and yeah, there you go.
Oh, there goes the controller is working. I don't hear any sound.
The
But-
headset goes into the front jacks.
Yeah, that could be me though. I might have to Alt tab and look at my audio settings. They very easily get screwed up in.
Oh, as far as what's set for the communication device.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's because it said my computer because I didn't have them plugged in at the right time.
Yeah. At least you're used to fixing it.
Okay, there it goes. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then, and it's okay. The case fans still aren't on, right? That's fine.
That's actually not necessarily a bad problem. It's not running at all?
Does it? How does it know? Like, how does it know the temperature? How does it know to?
Yeah, let's test something. Something doesn't seem right because that should be running. Those case fans should be running at this point. They're not running at all.
Mm-mm.
The GPU's fans are running though, right?
I'm pretty sure it's hard to see, but I'm pretty sure they are.
All right. So I sent you a link to MSI's software, which is really good for checking this stuff out. Do I need to? Maybe I should send it via email.
Oh yeah, that would. Let me check. Is it in the email already or no? Not yet.
No, hold on one second. I sent it via text. I'll send it via email. There. So this is the MSI Afterburner, which is a GPU software to allow you to modify the settings of the GPU at a more detailed level, but you don't need to get into all that. We're just interested in using their statistical software to see how things are running when you're in the game itself.
Do I want Riva Tuner Statistics Server?
Yes.
Okay.
And after you install that, let me know. And run the software. You don't have to read the readmes, but you know, we want to run it. Let me see how I can share this. Yours might look slightly different from this because I created a different background.
And that other power thing didn't have to be plugged in for the fans to work?
No, because there's only 2 of them.
Okay.
I mean, unless there's something weird going on, it shouldn't matter. I mean, you can plug something in real quick just to see. You have the extra cable already. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Okay, so I installed it. And just look for MSI Afterburner.
Yeah. Run that software.
Okay.
All right. And then there should be a settings.
Yeah.
Like a settings wheel somewhere.
It's really tiny. Is that supposed to be that way?
I'll see if I can fix that. That way it looks the same as mine.
I do see settings though.
All right, click on settings.
Okay.
Is it sharing this? No, it's not. How do I share this? It's not sharing it. That's interesting. I don't want to do a perpetual thing.
No, don't worry about it.
All right, so under settings, there should be a, let's see here.
General fan monitoring on screen.
Monitoring. There's a monitoring tab.
Okay, yep.
And then under monitoring, there is a whole bunch of items under the active hardware monitoring. Under the graph and properties, there's a whole bunch of listed items.
Yeah.
Right? Click at the very top, hold shift and press down arrow so that you're highlighting all of them.
Okay, highlight them all.
Highlight them all and then click the check, one of the checks to check them all, and then click the check again to uncheck them. Oh shoot, I don't want to do this.
Do you want them all unchecked or checked?
You want them all unchecked.
Okay.
There's a default that they select, but I'm having you uncheck all of them first.
Okay, uncheck them all.
Okay. Once you uncheck them all, then now we want to choose the ones that we want to choose. So go back up to the top. And I don't know what they start with. I think it's like the first one we're looking for at the top is something like GPU usage.
Okay, yeah.
Click and drag that to the very beginning. To the very top.
Got it.
All right. The next one that you want is core clock. Find that, click and drag that to the top.
Okay.
The next one is memory usage. Find that and drag that to the top. These should be pretty close to the top.
Yeah.
Then grab GPU temperature.
Got it.
And then grab power.
Okay.
All right. Then we're going to scroll down a bit further to CPU usage. There's probably one for each core, like CPU 1, CPU 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. You just
Yeah.
want the base one, CPU usage. And you can select multiple of them if you want by holding control.
Wait, there's a plain CPU usage, not CPU 1 usage?
That's correct. There's a plain CPU usage.
All right, where is that?
It might be at the bottom. You might have to go through 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's a plain CPU usage.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Drag that one to the top. All right. Then you want CPU clock. And there's a numbered one, but again, same thing. You want the plain CPU clock.
Okay.
Drag that one to the top.
And I'm probably gonna have to go in about 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes, that's fine. We're
Okay.
almost done. There's a RAM usage.
Okay.
CPU temperature. That's a plain one, not numbered.
Okay.
And then CPU power. Do they have the... Oh, this doesn't even have those fans. Yeah, this isn't going to answer the fan question. I just checked. It doesn't have the case fans. I thought it would have the case fans.
Gotcha.
We're going to make this even easier. I'm going to slim this down some.
Listen up. I mean, it's fine.
Well,
What's it gonna matter?
I mean, first thing I would do is I'd try plugging in that power cable, because you have an extra power cable spot for that strip
Right into the SATA.
into the SATA,
Yeah.
because you have an extra SATA power cable just hanging there.
Right.
I would try plugging that in and see if that just solves it.
I don't even know where it is. Sorry, I gotta look. Do I have to turn it off before I do that, or could I do it live?
You could do it live. It's not smart.
Where is it? Where is... There it is. Find it. Why can't I find it?
It probably was on the back side of the case.
Right, yeah, I'm looking. Oh, here it is. Right? Yeah. That did it. They started up.
Okay. They're not running full tilt, correct? They're just running at like a small RPM.
I think so.
They would be really noisy if they were.
I mean, they're making a little bit of noise.
But it's barely audible, kind of a little bit of noise, or do they look like they're really spinning?
Um, it's fairly quiet.
It sounds like it's probably okay.
Yeah, it's probably okay.
Well, here's what you could do. Go back into Helldivers and see if it increases the speed.
See if it revs up.
See if it revs up a little bit. It might not rev up a lot, but just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
But it did it rev just a little?
It's still booting it up.
Still loading.
Yeah, I think this is pretty quiet.
Our goal is that it's being controlled intelligently.
Right, and not
just
one
like
speed.
straight power.
Right.
If that makes sense. That's what we're trying to determine.
Yeah. I should just go into a match or something.
You're already loaded in. You
Right.
should been. The question was, did the fans get ever so slightly faster?
I can't really tell.
That's what I figured. So there's another software fan control. Where is this? I think this is it. I think this is it. We're not going to mess with this now because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But there's a fan control software that can allow you to see how the fans are. Yeah, this is definitely it. I'll send this to you. So what's cool about that software is that you can configure it to run as a curve when the GPU ramps up. So normally all fan control is done only for the CPU. But with a lot of these games, the CPU only uses so much and the GPU uses a ton. So you really want it to be smart where it's like you want it if the CPU then ramp and if the GPU then also ramp the case fans.
Right.
So you can use this software fan control to do that for you. And you could use a, there are YouTubers out there that kind of explain how to use that software. It's a free GitHub software that somebody created.
Gotcha.
I'll see if I can find one of the YouTubers that explains it. There it is. Jay's 2 cents fan control. How do I copy link address? Sent. I'll send you another email with that because we're running out of time. I'm not going to configure this with you now.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to let you deal with it.
The fans are running. That's the important part.
Yeah. Like this is good enough, but if you want to get this kind of fidelity.
I can already tell my cape looks better.
You can already tell.
The cape like moves more naturally.
Oh yeah. Like the quality of this should be like big difference.
Yeah. I'll take a look with you guys tonight later.
So what I was trying to get you to do was eventually get the statistics for the GPU and the CPU configured and on screen so that it shows up. I'll show you what this looks like with this Riva and MSI business because we're running out of time just in case you want to go do it on your own.
Yeah, okay.
Let me launch this and I'll show you an example. At least that way you have an end idea of what you're trying to do. So the fan control can help you configure your fans to run more optimally. And the MSI stuff can just tell you how your GPU and CPU is performing in a game. It's just statistical software.
Right.
Is basically what I was trying to get you to do. And what this will look like after you get it all set up, you can watch a YouTube video on how to do that as well too. I'll send you a link to that. I thought I did.
Well, I mean, we'll see when I get time eventually.
How do I hold on? Let me alt tab. Oh boy.
But the good news is we got it working.
We got it working enough, yeah. Let me present this that way you can see it at least. Where's the game? Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to do entire screen. And then I'm going to click on the game. We're going to do it that way. So can you see my game, Helldivers?
Yeah.
So I can't point with the mouse anymore, but up in the upper left corner, do you see how it's giving statistics on frames per second?
Yeah.
And my GPU and my CPU.
Yeah.
So this is, I was trying to get you to set it up so that you could see this stuff, so that you would see, for example, in this particular case, what it's telling me is I've got like, 50 frames per second that I'm getting, and I'm actually at 70% usage on my GPU and 60% usage on my CPU. And it's using about, in this case, 8 gigs of memory on the GPU and 20 gigs of memory in the CPU of RAM.
Right, gotcha.
And basically, I just wanted to see that everything's operating normally, right? That we're not over like tapping out on something and minimizing on something, and it's the right amount of power draw, and the temperatures are not through the roof. Everything's moving on, operating as efficiently as possible. In this particular case, what it's telling you is that my CPU is not powerful enough to support my GPU. My GPU actually has more power that it could use, but the CPU is not able to supply enough instructions to the GPU fast enough to utilize it at 100%. So if I upgraded my CPU, I would actually get even more GPU performance out of my system.
Yeah, got it.
That's basically what I'm getting out of this. So it gives you a holistic picture of where you're currently at in order to get that frames that you're currently getting. Is basically what I was trying to show you.
Yep. Yeah. We can play with that another time.
We can play with that another time. Yeah. And it also shows you that in this particular case, the game is sub-optimized, and that's the software developer's problem. And the reason I say that is because I have a CPU utilization problem as well too, because it's not running at 100. The CPU should be running at 100%, not able to give enough to the GPU. So there's actually more gas in the tank. It's just that the devs haven't optimized for CPU multi-core as efficiently. All right.
No one optimizes these days.
Yeah, there's some, well, I don't want to call it laziness, but we'll say that their priorities are on different things.
Right. Their priorities are on product and sales.
Yeah, pretty much. And the sad part is that if they would do a better job of optimization, I think more people would be more successful at having a great experience on lesser hardware, and that would create more sales.
Yeah.
Because then more people would be like, well, hey, you should play blah, 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 because you can, even on your old whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
At any rate, that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, you're good enough to at least game tonight is pretty much what I saw. And you've got a little bit more buttoning up work to do. But if you want to get into the software at another time, another weekend, that sort of thing, we could probably finish up on that MSI setup and get into fan control if you want, and configure it optimally for the GPU as well too.
Yeah, we can tackle that later on.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Karen and I are going to see Return of the Jedi.
Oh, awesome.
At 7, so gotta get.
Oh, well, you gotta book it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thanks.
Yeah.